Welcome, deep divers. Today, we are jumping headfirst into something huge, shaking up the gaming scene. World of Tanks 2.0. Wargaming's hyping it up massively, calling it the biggest update in the game's history, even a cornerstone for the future. Now, it feels this may be a big play to get people excited again, but you have to wonder, is it the right move? Or, a bit of a desperate one. We've gathered everything we can, find official stuff, dev comments, and crucially, what you, the community, are saying. Content creators, Reddit,
Yeah,
it's all buzzing. There's a lot here. Real excitement, but also quite a bit of doubt, and yes, some real controversy too.
absolutely. And that's our job today, right?
Yeah.
To kind of sift through it all, cut past the marketing speak, get past the noise. We want to give you the clearest picture possible of what's actually landing on September 3rd, what it really means for the game, and importantly, why opinions are so, well, all over the place. Basically get you up to speed on this whole new era without wasting your time.
Okay, let's unpack this then. This isn't just your standard patch, is it? They're calling Update 2.0 a transformative overhaul.
Mm.
So what are the main ingredients in this big change, and when does it actually hit the servers?
Yeah, transformative seems to be the word they're sticking with.
Yeah.
And ambitious, definitely. They're saying it's the most ambitious update ever, setting the stage for years. September 3rd is the global launch date. And the core pieces, well, there are several big ones. First up, the headline grabber. Tier XAI tanks, a whole new tier. First time in 15 years, they're starting with 16 tanks, but more are coming. That's huge for the end game. Second, a massive vehicle rebalance. We're talking over 350 tanks across every tier getting reworked.
Wow, 350.
Yeah. Then third, a totally redesigned hangar and UI, a new look, new feel. Fourth, there's a new PvE mode, Operation Boiling Point. It's story-driven, new map. And fifth, the Matchmaker. They say it's been completely rewritten. It's supposed to be smarter, fairer. Oh, and beyond that, you've got sound upgrades, an in-game armor inspector, random events popping up on maps, and a new personal missions 3.0 thing.
Okay, that is a lot. But let's focus on that Tier XI thing first. That's where things get really interesting and maybe a bit heated. A whole new tier above Tier X. What kind of tanks are we talking about? Are they just bigger numbers, stronger stats, or is there something fundamentally new here?
That's the key question. It's not just about more hit points or bigger guns. Wargaming's introducing a new layer of gameplay with these, which is where the debate starts. So the first batch is 16 vehicles, 7 heavies, 5 mediums, 3 TDs, 1 light. They branch off existing lines. But the real kicker, these unique mechanics they call specials.
Specials, like special abilities.
Kinda, yeah. For example, there's a heavy tank, the Taschenrat. Get this. It fires a high-explosive salvo from 2 extra guns.
That salvo, whoa.
Yeah, it changes how you peek and shoot, right? Big burst potential. Then there's a medium, the ASX-40, takes over from the Bat Chat. It has an external ammo rack. You actually control the loading.
Control the loading. How does that work?
More detail needed, but it sounds like a risk-reward thing. And another medium, the Leopard 120 Verbessert. It uses a ballistic calculator. Better accuracy, better stabilization. We're even hearing about a light tank. Apparently it can mark enemies you hit even if you blind fire. Some kind of special spotting.
Okay, hang on. A heavy firing salvos, a medium managing its ammo rack load, a light marking unseen tanks. Doesn't this sound a bit, I don't know, arcadey? Like it's moving away from the historical feel people love?
That is exactly the nerve it's hitting for a lot of players.
Yeah.
And just for Tier XI, there's a new upgrade system replacing field mods. Lets you boost stats and these specials without the old trade-offs. Getting them isn't cheap either. Around 325,000 XP research from the Tier X, then 7.5 million credits. So, quite a grind. Plus, the ultimate reward for the new Personal Missions 3.0 is a Tier XI Heavy, the Black Rock. It has a burst fire mode.
Okay, so new grind, new powers. What's the feeling out there? Are people excited or worried?
It's really split. You've got players, especially maybe veterans who've done it all, who are genuinely buzzing. They see new goals, fresh gameplay, a needed shakeup. But then there's a big chunk of the community looking at these specials and thinking, gimmicks. They're questioning how historical any of this is, calling some tanks wargaming fiction, and serious worries about balance. Like, how does that light tank marking ability not break scouting? Does it just lower the skill needed?
Right. So a real divide there. Excitement versus fears of gimmickry and losing the game's soul, maybe? Okay, moving beyond the flashy new tanks, they're also redoing game balance and the matchmaker. That's huge core stuff, often the source of, let's say, strong player feedback. How big is this biggest rebalance ever? What's the aim?
It's massive. The biggest ever claim seems legit. They're talking more than 10,000 lines of adjustments, affecting hundreds of tanks, all tiers. The stated goals are mostly quality of life. Smoother grinds up tech trees, making stock tanks less painful to play out of the box. You've simplified modules, too. No more stock radios to research, and suspension doesn't limit what modules you can mount anymore.
Okay, practical improvements. Any specific tank changes jumping out?
Definitely. Mid to high tier light tanks. Getting a significant boost to hit points makes them a bit less fragile. The Type 5 heavy big Japanese brick is getting its front armor tweaked, losing the 140mm gun but getting a 150mm main gun with huge 1100 Alpha HE shells.
1100 Alpha HE. Ouch!
Yeah, shifts its role maybe. Less pure tank, more big boom. The Object 140, classic Soviet medium, is getting buffed. DPM, alpha, hit points, all going up. And yes, they mentioned some overperforming mid-tier tanks will be toned down, leveling the field a bit. Oh, and premium tanks Tier 8 and IX price drops, and Tier IXs will earn more credits, helps with running costs.
Okay, lots of tweaks there. But the matchmaker, that affects every single battle, probably the biggest source of player frustration over the years. What's Matchmaker 2.0 actually going to do? Are we finally getting fairer teams? Less waiting.
They're saying it's a fundamental rewrite. Smarter and more flexible are the keywords. Goals. Faster queues, better team balance, more dynamic fights. It's meant to build smarter teams. Balances by combat role, like matching breakthrough heavies against similar ones, and by specific vehicle type. So, a Badger TD should face something like a T110E3, not a glass cannon like a Grill 15.
Ah, role matching. That's interesting.
Yeah. And tighter class limits, max 5 TDs usually. Max 3 lights, only 1 wheeled LT, max 3 RD per team.
3 RD max. That'll please some people.
Definitely. Also aiming for closer tiers. More frequent Plus Megas 1 battles, less often getting dumped in Plus Megas 2, though Plus Megas 2 will still happen sometimes, for variety, they say. No more clone armies either, limiting identical tanks per team, and a unified queue system to cut wait times even off-peak.
Those sound actually really good. Especially the class limits and closer tiers. Players have been crying out for that stuff. But you mentioned a trade-off earlier. So what's the catch? What are we losing for this supposedly better matchmaking?
Here's the big one. To make all this work, they're pulling the plug on Encounter, Assault, and Grand Battles. Retiring them for now.
Wait, what? Retiring entire game modes? Encounter and Assault?
That's what they've announced.
Yeah.
And yeah, the reaction, it's strong.
I bet. I mean, okay, the Plus Mats one, matchmaking, the role balancing, great. Needed. But getting rid of Assault and Encounter, isn't that just gutting tactical variety? Loads of veterans love those modes. Are they really sacrificing gameplay depth just for faster queues?
That's exactly the debate raging. Lots of vets are furious, calling it literally one of the worst changes in World of Tanks history. They feel it dumbs down the tactical map knowledge needed, sacrifices variety, all for potentially faster queues and maybe simpler balancing. It really highlights that tension, making the game accessible versus keeping the depth that dedicated players cherish.
Man, that's a tough pill to swallow for some. Okay, so core gameplay, huge changes, big controversies. What about just using the game, the garage, the interface? Have those updates landed better?
Yeah.
Or is it more division?
A bit more mixed bag again, sadly. The new garage looks different, this Tank Factory theme, more spacious, detailed maybe. Supposedly consolidates pre-battle stuff crew, equipment, consumables all in one spot. The UI itself. Menus move to the left, vertical stack, vehicle list panel is bigger for scrolling. Sounds okay, right? But sharp-eyed players noticed. It looks really similar to the UI from, like, 2012, 2014.
Seriously, so it's Back to the Future.
Kind of feels that way to some. Less new and improved, more, we tried this before.
Huh. Okay, and then the armor flashlight. This one sounds potentially helpful for newcomers, but I've heard some really strong negative takes. What is it, and why the drama?
Yeah, this touches on skill versus accessibility. Yeah. So 2 parts here. First, the armor inspector in the garage. Lets you check out any tank's armor model, nominal effective angles, collision models, even tanks you don't own. Most people think that's pretty useful for learning. But the armor flashlight, that's the in-battle thing. It's an upgrade of the penetration indicator. You press Y, and it highlights armor not just at your aim point, but the area around it. Works in sniper mode, close range mostly, up to 300 meters, small radius, and there's a slight delay after you aim.
Okay, so it helps you see weak spots in real time more clearly. I can see how that helps new players learn where to shoot. But for players who spent years learning those weak spots, memorizing armor layouts, doesn't that just make their knowledge less valuable? Is it lowering the skill ceiling?
That's the absolute core of the fight. And it's fierce. A lot of experienced players hate it. They argue it dumbs down the game, makes armor skill, knowing where to aim, where not to aim, feel almost irrelevant. They worry it craters the knowledge entry point for high-level play. Fewer satisfying bounces makes metals like steel wall harder. Some are calling it practically cheating.
Oof, strong words.
Very.
Hmm.
On the flip side, some content creators are saying, hold on, it's not that broken.
Mhm.
They argue it still needs aiming time, doesn't paint the whole tank instantly. They see it as a learning tool for newer players, maybe not a total game breaker,
Yeah.
but yeah, deeply divisive.
Definitely sounds like it. Man, this update is hitting all sorts of nerves. Any other big quality of life bits or new features we should touch on, things that might sway people?
Yeah, a few more pieces to the puzzle. There's a new map, Nordscar,
Huh?
Scandinavian island theme, has a launch pad, workshops for brawling, even an underground bit for flanking. Sounds cool, but some players are already saying it feels like a reskin of an old test map, so
Yeah.
maybe not entirely fresh to everyone. There's also a sound upgrade. They actually recorded real tanks at Bovington Tank Museum. Promise more realistic engine sounds, track noise, better collision sounds, that's probably welcome, and random events on 4 existing maps. Yords, Insk, Redshire, Paris. Things that happen mid-battle, change cover, open routes. Could add some unpredictability. And that PvE mode, Operation Boiling Point. Solo mission on Nordscar introduces tier Denshi ops, lets you capture some new tanks, apparently. Bit of story content.
Right. So looking at everything, this is just monumental for World of Tanks, but the community is clearly torn right down the middle. What does this huge controversial update tell us about where the game is right now and where it might be heading? Is this revitalization or something else?
Looking at the bigger picture, it feels like a critical moment. There's unofficial data suggesting player numbers on EU servers have been slowly declining over the last couple of years. So, you can see why Wargaming might feel the need for something big, something like 2.0, to maybe reverse that trend, bring people back, or keep them engaged. There's also chatter about monetization. Some players suspect the recent pushes assembly shops, battle passes, were maybe time to drain resources before dropping the expensive TRXE grind.
Interesting theory.
So yeah, outlooks differ wildly. You have genuine excitement from some, this is it, this will save the game. They see the new stuff as vital. Then you have the veterans saying, hold on, some of this stuff's like the UI or Armor Inspector. We should have had this years ago. Or it's just bringing back old ideas,
Yeah.
less impressive. And the constant worry are these fictional, gimmicky tier guys pushing the game too far into arcade territory. Is it losing that historical connection that drew many in? Wargaming, for their part, insists 2.0 is just the starting point. They talk about consistent organic integration, supporting all tiers, not just abandoning everything below AI, but, actions speak louder.
Absolutely. So we've covered a ton today. World of Tanks 2.0, from those game-changing TRX tanks and their, let's say, unique mechanics, to the massive rebalance, the rewritten matchmaker, that controversial armor flashlight, even the UI shuffle. It's undeniably packed with change. And it sparked so much hope, but also so much debate and concern.
It really does leave you wondering, doesn't it? All this change, some innovation, some looking back, some things splitting the player base. Is this truly a new era for tank warfare? Or is it just the next big iteration, maybe a risky one, with the real impact only becoming clear once the battles start? How will these new mechanics, these gimmicks, actually play out in competitive matches?
Yeah.
And can a game really innovate by, well, borrowing from its own past while simultaneously pushing into something that feels almost sci-fi?
Lots to think about. So for you listening, what stands out the most about World of Tanks 2.0? Are you excited to jump in on September 3rd and see it for yourself? Or are you planning to hang back, watch how things shake out before committing to this new era?